Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Govardhan Dari Shri Radhe Radha Govardhan Dari Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Govardhan Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurani Tai 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 Jaya Gaurani Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parvata Astuta AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaisnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय गंगा देवी की जय यमुना देवी की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी महारानी की जय All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Baba, could you please put Prabhupada's book on verse, on text 11 and his glasses? It's just on the side there. Oh, yeah. If someone knows how to. Baba, can you? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So Hare Krishna, good morning everyone. So today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 14. And the title of the chapter is Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening, chapter 14. And we are reading text 11, and the verse is on the board. So please repeat after me. Tad bhavanda yamanayam Tad bhavanda yamanayam Sapatninam samriddhibhi Prajavatinam bhadram te Mai ayung tam anugraham Tadbhavandayamanayam Sapatinam samriddhibhihi Prajavatinam bhadram te Mai ayunktam anugraham. Please chant. Tadbhavandayamanayam Sapatninam samriddhibhi Prajavatinam bhadram te Maya anuktam anugraham. Anyone else would like to chant first? Baba, do you want to give it a go? Tadbhavandayamanaya Sapatinam samriddhibhihi Prajavatinam bhadram te Mai ayunktam anugraham. So word for word, Tat, therefore, Bhavan, your good self, Tayamanayam, being distressed, Sapatinam, of the co-wives, Samriddhibhihi, by the prosperity, Prajavatinam, of those who have children, Bhadram, prosperity, Te, unto you, Mai, unto me, Ayunktam, do unto me, in all respects, Anugraham, favor. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. Please repeat. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, sexual intercourse for begetting children is accepted as righteous. A person sexually inclined for simple sense gratification, however, is unrighteous. In Diti's appeal to her husband for sex, it was not exactly that she was afflicted by sex desires, but she desired sons. Since she had no sons, she felt poorer than her co-wives. Therefore, Kashyapa was supposed to satisfy his bona fide wife. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Shrimate Bhakti Swami Prabhu. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Shrimate Bhakti Swami Prabhu. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gomchani. So I'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that will be beneficial to all of us, especially for myself, and I'm speaking for my self-purification. And whatever I have heard and read, I'm just repeating that. And it's not that I am on that highest platform. I'm also in this platform of instructing my own mind and heart on following these instructions. So this chapter is entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. So the backstory is that there's a great sage whose name is Kashyapa, and he's a Prajapati. Prajapati means that he's a progenitor. So he's been given the duty of populating the whole world, because there's many progenitors in the world. And so he had many wives, and he had married the 13 daughters of another progenitor whose name was Daksha. And so Diti is one of his wives who desired to have children. So there's 13 wives. So she was referring to her co-wives. So in the translation, Diti is approaching her husband Kashyapa, wanting, due to the sex impulse, to have children, because she was saying that she was seeing the opulence of her co-wives, and Diti felt distressed, and in the purport it says she felt poorer than her co-wives. So this, the personalities in the Bhagavatam, it's not that sometimes that they fall into illusion or they are doing some bad act, and they are acting on the platform of a conditioned soul to teach us a lesson, and to teach us how we as conditioned souls living in the material world can overcome these lower propensities and be on the right path of spiritual enlightenment. So here she's saying that it's reflecting that she was feeling jealousy towards her co-wives, and that she was really determined for union, and she was very impatient because she wanted to beget sons. So we understand that lust is our insatiable enemy of the living entity, and lust is not only for sexual lust. Lust can be also for, I want something that someone else doesn't have. So lust can come in many different forms. And Prabhupada mentions here, as in the teachings of the previous acharyas, that sexual intercourse is meant for begetting Krishna conscious children. So in this case, it's showing us an example of how Diti, she wanted sense gratification. So she wanted children not for the pleasure of Krishna, but because of her jealousy towards her co-wives, she wanted to have children for her own sense gratification, and especially she wanted sons, because also we hear from the days of yore that the husband and wife, or the great kings and queens or great personalities, they always wanted sons to continue the family line and the lineage. And Prabhupada also mentions here that sexual union simply for sense gratification is unrighteous, whereas sex for the propagation of Krishna conscious children is righteous. So Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita 7, chapter 7, text 11, the chapter is entitled Knowledge of the Supreme, and Krishna states that I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. So everything in the material world, we can engage in Krishna's service, even sex life, within the holy union of marriage, and where vows are made in the presence of other devotees and in front of the Lord, that we make a promise that we will follow the four regulative principles. And whatever we do, whatever activities we do in our life, it will be centered around God, around Krishna, and then our spiritual progress is guaranteed, and we'll progressively march on towards spiritual enlightenment and ultimately go back home, back to the eternal kingdom of God, where we don't have to come back to the material world and suffer. So in Bhagavad Gita 3:40, the chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. It's Krishna's telling Arjuna that the sitting place of lust, who knows the 3 sitting places of lust within the body? Yeah, that's the 3 lines in Nectar of Instructions. It says that we need to control. Yes, that's right. So the sitting place of last is the mind, the senses, and the intelligence. And then we can control it by controlling, as Krishna Bhavana said, the tongue by eating Krishna Prasadam, the belly, so the tongue vibrating the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the belly by eating only Krishna Prasadam, and the genitals by propagating children in marriage for creating God-conscious children. So we understand that when the mind is controlled, then by higher intelligence, we are also able to control our senses. So in Bhagavad Gita 3:36, Arjuna is addressing Krishna, because the Bhagavad Gita is the guidebook or the manual for mankind, where it's instructing us, just like we have a manual or a guidebook when we purchase something from the shop or the warehouse. Then we have a manual that guides us of the instructions of how to assemble it and how it functions. So similarly, when we come to the material world, we have this opportunity in the human form of life where we have this manual. The human mission is all given in this manual, the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada has kindly come and he's translated the Bhagavad Gita as it is to give us instructions of how we can live in the world and also gradually come out of this world. So Arjuna in 3:36, he's asking Krishna, Arjuna said, "O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?" And in the purport it says that there's the perverted nature of the living entities we want to enjoy in the material world. So just in text 10 of this chapter, Pregnancy of Diti in the evening, Mukunda Maharaj was reading the verse, and it said there that in that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire, "O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a tree." So Diti is saying that she's really overcome by this lusty desires, and that's why she approached her husband at the wrong time. It was not the right time. The timing wasn't right. It was the time when the ghosts and hobgoblins are about, and it was just not the right astrological time. And her husband was in the middle of meditation. So in that verse, the previous verse, text 10, Diti is saying that the arrows of Cupid, that lust, are distressing me forcibly, so by force, and as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. So we see around the farm we have many banana trees, and imagine a huge elephant comes and it goes into the banana plantation. So what's going to happen to the banana tree? Baba, what's going to happen to the banana tree when a big elephant goes there? Pardon? Yes, it will fall over, it will be completely destroyed. So that's the example, like that the power of lust is so strong, just like an elephant, that the mind is like compared to the banana tree, that it's so weak. And Krishna is similarly saying that in the Bhagavad Gita 3:36, that it's so difficult to control. It says that if one is impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force. And then furthermore, it's said in Bhagavad Gita 6:34, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati baladridam tasyaham nigraham manye fire eva dushkaram. So it says there in the translation, for the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. So we understand that it's almost impossible to control the wind, and Arjuna has been put into this condition. He's covered over to represent us as the living entities, and he's addressing Krishna that it's so difficult to control the mind, even though us as aspiring devotees, we have the knowledge, we know what is right and what is wrong. Even in that case, it's so difficult to control the mind. And he's saying that it's even more difficult than controlling the wind. So what hope do we have? So Prabhupada in the purport, it mentions that this is the condition of the modern man. And the easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya's appearance day is coming up soon, 2 weeks from now, I think on the 25th, which is on a Monday. We'll have a big celebration here at the temple in the evening, so please come. So Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. He comes in this age of Kali Yuga, this iron age, and he comes in the form of a devotee because he's so compassionate. He comes just to show by his own example of how we can become free from the shackles of this material world, which binds us strongly to this prison house. And he says that the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, the easiest way to control it is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. So practically speaking, even for myself, I see as an aspiring practitioner of Bhakti Yoga that it's also I get overcome by the lower modes, by the mode of ignorance and passion. And we constantly need to check ourselves, constantly need to try to remember Krishna. But we need to also remember that if we fall down and we make a mistake, that we should keep getting up, just like a child learning to walk. They fall down, they may graze themselves, maybe very badly or just very lightly, but they're encouraged by the loved ones, and they themselves are determined to get up and keep walking, and then eventually learning to walk and being able to run. So we should always remain determined that we are all in the material world, and no one is free from this lower propensities. And that's why we need to constantly engage our mind in chanting Krishna's holy name, God's holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then in answer to Arjuna, who is representing us, the conditioned living entities, Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 6:35, and especially this chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita is called Dhyana Yoga. So Dhyan is meditation. So Dhyana Yoga is referring to the mind. And the all-devouring, insatiable enemy of us, the living entities, is lust. And especially this chapter, it talks about how we can control the mind, because we understand that the sitting place of the lust is the mind, the intelligence, and the senses. So Krishna replies to Arjuna. He says, Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it's possible by suitable practice and detachment. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. By discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is the expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuffs offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. The treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. So we understand here, Krishna is telling us that, yes, he's understanding, he's accepting that, yes, I do know what your condition is, that, and I do understand that it is very difficult to curb the restless mind. But just by suitable practice and detachment, and by developing this practice of devotional services, following the 9 processes of bhakti, then we can become spiritually satisfied. Just like we have the example in the material world that a child is playing with mud and is making a mud cake, and is pretending to eat the mud cake. But when the mother, just like Krishna Bhavana here, she's a mother and she makes nice prasadam, she's a very expert cook, and she makes nice prasadam, or her children are here, Janava, isn't your mom a great cook? She makes nice prasadam and she feeds you. So she makes nice prasadam. So imagine Janava is baking a mud cake, and then her mom makes a delicious cake that she likes, a chocolate cake. So she's going to give up that mud cake, and then she's going to go and eat the real cake. So similarly, in the material world, we have lower propensities, but when we engage in spiritual activities, so we can do the same things we are doing now. We can eat vegetarian foodstuffs, but that vegetarian foodstuff that is offered to Krishna, that becomes blessed, that becomes purified, when we eat that, then our mind and our heart becomes purified. So we need to remain determined and constantly try to remember Krishna, try to connect everything we do for Krishna. Just like Prabhupada gives an example of the person who goes work in an office. So one who is in Krishna consciousness, he works with the mindset that I am going to work so I can earn money, I can buy food to offer to Krishna in my home, maintain my family, buy nice clothes. We can go to the temple, or we can dress up nicely at home, and we can buy nice food and instruments, the mridanga, the drum, the musical instruments, and we can do kirtan for the Lord, sing for the Lord's pleasure, not sing going to a nightclub or some karaoke, singing some mundane song, and use everything we have in Krishna's service. So the comparison is of another same person who's going to the same office, but his consciousness may be, oh, come Friday night, I'm going to go out and drink alcohol, go and have some meat with my money, buy some meat, go to the nightclub, and engage in illicit activities. So the same activity externally appears the same, but the consciousness, the mind of someone who is a God-conscious person, a devotee of the Lord, is very different. So we don't have to give up our activities in the material world. We just need to dovetail and direct it and guide it in Krishna's service. And how do we do that? Prabhupada mentions the secret is in chapter 4, text 34. And the verse is Tad Vidhi Pranipatena. Bhava, do you know this verse, Tad Vidhi Pranipatena? Can you say it? Do you know it? Or do you know what is it the verse about? So it's Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Gnanam Nanina Tattvadarshinaha. So it says they just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So if we want to learn something, just like if we want to learn how to be a doctor and we want to operate on someone, and we go to someone, someone says, oh, I've read the books on surgery and I can perform your surgery. Are you going to allow that person to perform surgery on you? Baba, imagine your friend came to you and they said, oh, I read all the books. I can do the operation for you. Are you going to let them operate on you? No. So we have to go to the bona fide, the right source. So we have to go to someone who is a registered doctor, who has gone through the proper authorities, the university where they have studied, they have practiced, they have got the certificate that is authorized. So similarly, we have to go to someone who's authorized. So it's not that someone who has read the books, they don't have some knowledge. We give them credit that they have some knowledge, but they haven't gone through the proper channels to obtain that knowledge. So it's not authorized. So everything we do in this world, we have to go through some authority. Just like if someone wants to teach at a school, there are government regulations. Anyone can't just go and teach at the school. They have to follow the proper Ministry of Education, the board, go through the proper education, the proper fields, go through the tests and be tested and be able to answer the questions, and to show the test is to show that they have the proper understanding, that they have learned in the correct way. So that going through the proper channel is also to protect us, because we understand in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions in the introduction that the human being, the living entity has the lower natures, the propensity to cheat others, and we are put into illusion, and we have this tendency to make mistakes. And the fourth one is, what's the fourth one? Yes, the propensity to cheat others. So just like our eyes, now, I'm short-sighted, so I don't have my glasses. So if I'm looking at a far distance, the other day I was telling my husband I saw a jackfruit, but it turned out to be a watermelon. So we have this, our senses, they put us in illusion. So we need also a microscope to see exactly what is there. We can't see with our naked eyes what is there, the tiny minute things. So we need to accept that we are conditioned and we have limitations. So we need to approach the right source so we can learn. And the proper way to do that is to approach a spiritual master, to approach a spiritual practitioner and inquire submissively. It's not that we follow blindly and accept everything blindly. No, we need to read the books, and when we're not understanding something, we inquire from another spiritual practitioner, and if they don't know, they will also pass on that I'm not so sure about this, I can research it, or I'll refer you to someone else who has that knowledge. So always maintaining that humility, because we understand that whatever gifts we have in our life, that is given to us by our teachers and by the Lord Himself, and at any moment in our life, those gifts can be taken away. So understanding that I have some gifts because they are connected to the Lord and His dear devotees, and I shouldn't become proud that these are because of my own doing, because there's an English saying that pride comes before the fall. And now going to the solution of how to control the mind and this lust. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text 9, it says there that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So when we connect all our activities to God, to the Lord, to Krishna, then we won't be bound by all our activities that we are doing in the material world. By doing this work, we can live in the world, we can maintain ourselves, we can also go out, go to university, get an education, or if someone doesn't want to go to university, they can do some, do an apprentice, and they can learn some skills. But whatever we do, we just need to connect that to God, to Krishna, and then whatever activities we do, we won't be bound by this material world, and we'll understand things in the proper perspective. Just like the example is given of the great personalities, they can they can see the sun as it is. So when we approach great personalities, they can reveal the knowledge to us because they can see things clearly. So unless, Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita 267, that unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. So as mentioned in the life of Maharaj Amrish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. So in that translation, Prabhupada, Krishna is giving the example to Arjuna, just as a boat on water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. So we see the example of some personalities in Bhagavatam. There's these two brothers, and they were the sons of this great demigod who was in charge of the treasury, whose name was Kuvera, and he had two sons called Manigriva and Nalakuvara. So Kuvera, he's a representative of Krishna, so he is a devotee of Krishna. So I was just listening recently to a class by His Grace by Sheshika Prabhu on Facebook, and he was saying that he was talking about Manigriva and Nalakuvara. So he was saying, so they became very proud of their father, even though they are devotees to some degree, because their father is also a devotee of the Lord, given some duty as the treasurer for the demigods, that they became very proud because of the wealth and because of their good looks. So they were bathing naked in the waters with some ladies, and a great sage, Narada Muni, he came by, and immediately the ladies, they had some propriety, so they covered their naked bodies, but the sons of Kuvera, they were naked and they were drunk, so they didn't cover themselves, and they were rolling their eyes as drunk people do. And Narad Muni became angry. So we may question that why is a sage becoming angry? But we should understand that great devotees, there is benediction in every activity that they do, just like Krishna when he kills demons. They are benefiting from that because their sinful reactions are being finished and cut. So Narada Muni became very angry, and Vaisheshika Prabhu was saying, like he was giving the example, it's like in modern terms, it's like, hey Manigriva and Nalakuvara, you are like Gurukulis, what are you doing? You became proud, you're getting drunk, you are misusing your opulence and your great opportunity as the sons of demigods, where we have access to this transcendental knowledge, you're misusing it. So then he cursed them that they fall down and they become the twin Arjuna trees. So even though the sexual union may have been done, was done, like Kuvera is a representative of the Lord, so some Garbhadan ceremony would have been done, some proper instructions that means are carried out to have children. But we see that even those children, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, due to bad association, they fell down. And another example also is Narakasura, who was the son of Lord Varaha and Bhumi Devi. He's the son of Krishna himself in the form of Lord Varaha, but because of bad association, he became of demoniac mentality, and he was doing bad things, and Krishna himself had to come and kill him. And we also hear of another example of a devotee whose name was Ajamil, and he was born in a Brahmana family, and he was doing good activities, so his parents also would have had done the Garbhadan ceremony, proper means of sexual union to beget God-conscious children. But we see that there's no guarantee even in that case. So now that in bringing up those personalities, we can question the age-old question of nurture and nature. So one is born by nature, by good activities. We see in Krishna consciousness that God conscious parents, they do the Garbhadan ceremony, they through the proper channels, they have God conscious children. And then nurture. So one has to nurture and cultivate these godly qualities. So we see sometimes in some of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they may not have come from a good background, but by cultivating, by nurturing these God-conscious activities, they became purified and they became so elevated that amongst us in the Krishna consciousness movement, we have so many great saints. So we understand the value of both nature and nurture, but most important, very important, is association. So this nurturing, we need to nurture this and take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement and associate with God conscious children. Just like the example is given, that if one associates with the drunkard, then one will also become a drunkard. And if one wants to, for example, become an accountant, go and associate with the accountants, just like they have this associations of accountants or associations of the mechanics. You want to learn a skill, you want to start developing that mindset of how I can fix things, how I can learn this skill, how I can upgrade myself, then you associate with the people who you want those qualities from. So similarly in this Krishna consciousness movement, we want to develop this godly qualities, then we need to associate with those who have developed this godly quality. And don't give up, even though even we are practicing, and we see even as practitioners, we saw in the example of Ajamil, he was born in a great devotional family, but he fell down. So we shouldn't give up hope, even if we make mistakes and we may fall down. We keep getting up, we keep trying, we keep associating with devotees. Never feel that we have done such a great sin that we can't face the devotees. Always come back, associate with the devotees. Never go away, never give up this process. And then we can be happy. So association is the key word. So I'll end there if anyone has any questions or comments or corrections, reflections. I'll read the translation again. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. So just on the last point that I would like to mention is that like Diti here, she's addressing her husband Kashyapa, that show me complete mercy. But by reading the purport and also understanding that she approached her husband at the wrong time while he was meditating for sexual union to beget children because she was jealous. So we understand that she was not doing it with the right intention, even though she's saying, show me complete mercy, show me compassion. She didn't have the right mindset, the right mood, and she was going about it in the wrong way. So we can also see from this example that we can choose, we always have this free will, this choice. Of course, we understand this is a pastime, because if this pastime wasn't there, then Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu wouldn't be in this world, and Krishna had this, he wanted to fight, and then the great devotee Prahlad wouldn't be born. So we understand it's also a pastime, but we also understand as conditioned living entities, what can we learn from this pastime? So we can understand that we can choose to do things in the proper way. So not sentimental compassion, and understanding that not seeing things in a sentimental way. We need to understand with the sword of knowledge to do things in the proper way, and also with the proper intention, with the right intention. So just like we want something great, we have to work hard for it. Just like the athletes, they get up early in the morning. They are taking part in the Olympics, and they get up early in the morning. They take the Olympics, and they go with their friends. They're getting out in the row boat, and then they're training. So similarly, material in the for spiritual practice, it's not something cheap. If we want a diamond, we have to work hard for it. It's not something cheap. So spiritual life is like compared to the diamond. We want something, just like in the material world, we have to work hard for it. We take an apprenticeship, or we go to university. You sacrifice. You don't go to the club if you have an assignment. You're not going to go out to partying with your friends. Okay, I have an assignment. I'm going to give up this lower nature so I can achieve something high. So there's this great devotee that I'm really inspired by within the Krishna consciousness movement. His name is ISKCON Swami. You can listen to him on YouTube. He gives classes, and his channel is called Wisdom That Breathes. He says that we shouldn't give up something that we want so much for, we shouldn't, I'm just trying to remember exactly how. Yes. For something that feels good right now. Yes, that's right. Yeah, thank you so much.
More like short-term pain for long-term pleasure. Yes. Versus short-term pleasure for long-term pain.
Yes, exactly. That's right. Yeah, we shouldn't give up something we want so much, something, for low-term gain. Like just like if we want to get the degree, like when I was studying in Auckland for my teaching degree, it was a 3-year program. So there was about 120 students in the first year, or even in the first semester, and then it went down, and by the time it was the 3rd semester, it came down to only 40 students that made it to the 3rd year. So we give up. We want something, we want to achieve that because we want to teach and we want to get that degree, but then we have to work for it. So yes, we have to give our time and energy for it. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So we'll end there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, I'll write that. Yes, Wisdom That Breathes. He's really amazing. He relates everything on a very practical level, and he's so humble that he gives himself as an example, just like Arjuna is giving covered over, and he's representing the living entities. I'm really inspired by this devotee because he really helps us to take responsibility for our own life on whatever level of practice we are. We may be practicing 30, 40 years, or we may be a newcomer. None of us are on that platform where we can become proud and say, I have achieved something. It's constant work, constant effort, just like the athletes, they're constantly working. It's not like I got a gold medal 10 years ago that I shouldn't stop working. It's a constant work. We have this human mission, and it's a constant, it's a mission. Yeah, so thank you. It's a YouTube channel. It's called Wisdom That Breathes. Yes, thank you for writing that. Wisdom That Breathes, a YouTube channel. Breathes, BREATHES. Breathes, and his name is SP Keshava Swami. It's really amazing.